Okay, we're here with our offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach, Jake Spavital. We'll go ahead and let me know if you have a question for Coach Spav in the chat. Same as we've done in the last two. If you could keep it to one question the first time around, and then if you have follow-ups the second time around, we'll take that. We'll go ahead and get started with Jeff Ferrato from Cal Sports Report. Go ahead, Jeff.
Jake, just talk about the decision that you guys made about the quarterback. What were the keys to making that? And also, what was Sam's reaction when you told him the other day?
Yeah, I thought this quarterback competition was one of the closest ones I've ever been a part of. And, just in the previous times I got to talk to the media, and then the times that you guys got to come out and watch practice, there was times where I thought that, Sam was going to be the starter, Ben was going to be the starter, Fernando was going to be the starter. But I really thought the last 10 practices, roughly about 8 to 10 practices with Sam, I saw a light kind of just click for him, man. And I thought he did just a really good job at moving the ball. And when you kind of break down all of the stats that we've done, and we literally just grade every single play on what these quarterbacks do. And from just a standpoint of the efficiency and making the right decisions to completion percentage and the interceptions and turnovers, it was all very close with all three of them. But what really separated Sam was he ended up getting into the end zone probably about 15 more times than the other guys. And he was just really that kind of click for him the last 10 practices where he just found really found a really good amount of times of getting in the end zone. But when I told Sam, 2 days ago, he was ecstatic, because he really believed that it was a tough, close quarterback competition. And, he was kind of relieved that he ended up, separating himself. He felt like he was pretty confident and playing at a high level. And, I was just excited to deliver the news because he really put the work in, was playing at a high level those last 10 practices.
Okay, we'll go to Steve Kroner from the San Francisco Chronicle.
Jake, when we spoke with Sam, he said he thought he was struggling at the outset of this camp. And he said that he had a sit down with you and maybe a sit down with Justin early in camp and said that kind of got him on the right path. Do you remember that conversation, and if there was one or two specific things you tried to impart to Sam in that conversation?
Yeah, no, I think when you talk about Sam's play, and when he's played quarterback through his high school career, even in college at TCU, he was always trying to make the play every single play, and that was his deal. He was always trying to scramble and trying to make a home run shot. When you can just play within the system, hand the ball off when it needs to, get it on the perimeter when you need to, go through your progressions, be in the ready position to throw. And I thought he was just pressing way too much in those early practices. And once we kind of had that sit down and we just kind of showed some tape, and I just talked to him about, I know that you have a great skill set and then you're a great athlete, but you don't we've got good players around us too. And you got, Jaden Ott, Jeremiah Hunter, for instance, those guys, which you guys are used to, just seeing them, that continuity, you can get the ball to them and they'll make good plays too. And you don't have to always make that home run, wild play every single snap. And once he kind of just started playing within the system, the ball started moving very efficiently and he started putting the ball in the end zone more often. And he's a very easy guy to talk to. You brought him in and just kind of set him down, showed him the tape, and he went out there and executed. So I was really pleased to see how he responded with that meeting really early in fall camp.
Okay, we'll go to Thomas Dunn for Right for California.
Good morning, Jake. I asked Sam about this earlier, but what's it like from the coaching perspective and having to find the balance between Sam Jackson, the pocket passer, or Sam Jackson, the athlete?
Yeah, you never want to handcuff a kid with that ability, but I've had some pretty good experience with guys like Kyler Murray and Johnny Manziel over the years. And you just kind of naturally got to feel the flow of the game. You want them to be quarterbacks. You want them to distribute the ball to the playmakers, but there's going to be a time where he needs to go make that play. And there's a QB run element into that as well. You want to utilize his feet in QB run game, but if he's out there, running around a little bit more than usual, then, you've got to kind of face that down because you don't want to wear him out. But I'm a big believer in letting that guy play freely because you're going to see some pretty special plays that he makes because when you got a quarterback with that type of talent and that skill set, you just want to let him kind of unleash him and let him go. And then you find the time to kind of reel him back in based off the flow of the game.
Okay, is there anybody else with a first round question before we start the second round? If there is, let me know. Okay, we'll go ahead and get started with our second round with Jeff Ferrato. Go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, a lot's been made of you guys wanting to convince him to stay in the pocket as long as there's a play to be made. But I'm wondering if, when push comes to shove, the edge he has on the other two guys and what makes him distinct is that athletic ability and the fact that he's a two-way threat. I mean, how much of that was what you really wanted in your quarterback?
Yeah, I think that's you just can't coach that type of skill set, and then he's got it. I think what separated Sam, and I don't know if Coach talked about it or Sam did, but we went live with the quarterbacks in our first scrimmage because it was such a close quarterback competition. We thought it was right to go live just to showcase to see if what Sam is capable of doing. And he goes out there on that first drive, and it's a 3rd down and 8, 3rd down and 5. We had 2 of them, and I remember pretty clearly he ended up scrambling for first downs, and that's just a skill set that is if a bad play happens, he can get you out of it. And that's kind of the approach that I think if you can have a fine balance of running the system and then utilizing your skill set, in emergency situations, and I think that makes you a very dynamic player, especially in today's time. And Sam definitely has that skill set, and it's going to be fun to watch him develop over the course of this season. He's still young. You're still going to see some Sam plays where he needs to calm down a little bit at times, and just I think there's going to be some play calls and some communication with me and him just to get him back on track and go from there. But you always want to kind of lean on guys that have a skill set to get you out of bad situations, and Sam definitely has that ability.
Does he know when to hit the ground or when to go out of bounds so he doesn't take too many hits?
That is still the question to be known, and I think he does understand, when to protect himself. He has a very, natural instinct that he knows when people or bodies are around him and got to protect himself. But I think the only way to truly see that is, just over the course of time. And sometimes you have to learn the hard way with that. But I definitely have had many conversations with him on protecting himself, getting out of bounds when you need to, sliding as many times as you can just to avoid those unnecessary hits.
Okay, we'll go to Jake Curtis from Cal Sports Report.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier that you were thinking about maybe playing more than one quarterback. Is that still a consideration?
No, right now we're going with Sam, and the other 2 will be ready to go if anything does happen.
Okay, we'll go to Thomas Dunn, Steve Croner from the Chronicle is next in the queue. Go ahead, Steve.
And Jake, Cal fans saw your offense in 2016. I'm sure what they're going to see in 2023 starting in North Texas is different. If you were talking to the average Cal fan and said, Jake, we saw this, you guys ran up a lot of yards and a lot of points in 2016, but this offense is going to be different, what would be the 2 or 3 main things you'd say this is how it's going to be different?
Yeah, I think the principle, just the base philosophy of the spread up tempo, vertical shot game, downhill run game is all going to be the same. But it kind of goes down to, in 16, I had Davis Webb, who was strictly a pocket passer, a big 6'5" guy, can move okay. But, Sam has an ability where you can do a lot of different things with him. So you're going to see a lot of running QB really packages, on top of our base installs of just our downhill run game and vertical throwing. So that's really what you're going to see the most with. All right. I do think that we have more tight ends this year as well. So you're going to see a lot more, tight end sets. I had Malik McMorris here in 16, who was one of my top 5 players I've ever coached. And had such a great time with him. But, Malik was playing at 300 pounds, and that's not the most ideal weight to be flexed out as a slot position. So we actually had tight ends with jack injuries, and in terms of being able to split out and be a slot receiver. So you're going to see more tight end play. You're going to see more quarterback run game kind of packages. And that's going to add to being a lot more multiple with your play calls. So you're going to see a lot more variety when it's all said and done.
Okay, we'll go to Thomas Dunn for California.
When Justin Wilcox was in here earlier, he mentioned Tron Grizel as one of the players who improved the most and improved his stock. Can you speak to his development from what you've seen from spring all the way to now and the role that he's carved out for himself?
Yeah, Tron's been amazing. When I stepped in here in January to actually get around these guys, he's one of the most consistent humans I've ever been around. He shows up every single day. All he wants is an opportunity. He never complains about reps or being in the game too long or too minimal. He's always showing up and is doing exactly what we coach him to do. And it was fun to watch him progress throughout fall camp. Because he was kind of one of those third, 14 guys and wasn't getting very many reps, but just naturally over like the 16, 17 practices, you just saw him emerge as one of our top guys. He's a big 6'5" kid, can run really well, got a long catch radius, and he ended up being really a comfort when you're in a QB competition. Those guys are going to throw the guys that they know where they're going to be and are going to be comfortable catching. And like you noticed, all the targets were going to Tron, throughout camp. Because he's such a reliable guy, and it's a great story. He's a great person, and really fired up to watch him go this year and see what he can do because he's had a really good fall camp.
Okay, we go to Matt Moreno from Cal Rivals.
Going back to the QBs, how did Fernando and Ben take the news, and what was your message to them?
Yeah, they're as anybody would take it, they're great competitors, so they're down a little bit, but they both looked at me like, I'm going to get back to work, and I know there's going to be an opportunity for me to play, and I'm going to be ready for you. And, they talk about how they're going to prepare to be the starter, and they know that their reps are going to be cut down a little bit because, Sam gets the majority of the reps now. But we did our first day of kind of our stat exchange and working with the ones and twos, and you just see the professionalism in them. They're still competing at a high level, and they what they told me in the meetings is that they're just going to keep staying the course and trying to prove everybody wrong, and when their opportunity comes and make the most of it. And they really did that today in their practices. So I appreciate that about these guys because it's always been tough, in QB decisions. I've always been a believer in just saying, hey, here's our starter, and we're going to ride with that guy. You always see how the other two are going to handle, that news, and are they going to show back up the next day and not be distracted by it and just get back to work. And both of them handled it very well, like as professional as you possibly can. So my hat's off to them on how they handled the situation because it was a very close fall camp quarterback competition, and those guys are deserving. They I feel completely comfortable putting them in the game right now and still being able to move the ball. So. It'll be fun to watch those guys kind of just battle it out through the rest of this year because we still grade our backup quarterbacks every single practice, and who's going to be the guy that's going to be developed and locked in the most, be the one that will go in after Sam.